The whole concept of what goes on at home, we're so focused on the kids that are affected. And a lot of times the kids that are not affected are affected in a different way by just not getting typical attention, or maybe they get something different. I mean, each child is different in what they go through at home. So I think this will help to give us some insight on what happens, what the kids actually feel, the other siblings actually feel at home. So what we'll do is we'll just go through and let each one introduce themselves and tell us how old their sibling is, brother, sister, or whatever. And we'll probably go to the audience for questions you might want to ask everybody that's here. This is my co-moderator, Scott.
How you guys doing today?
So go ahead.
My name's Deanna, and I actually have two siblings that are diagnosed with Asperger's. The first one is 24. He's my older brother, and I have a younger brother who is a twin, fraternal twin, and he's 12, and he has Asperger's and ADHD. And I have a sister who is 7, and she's exhibiting the symptoms of Asperger's, and they're going through the process right now, possibly diagnosing her as well.
So, I've got a quick question for you already.
Yeah.
So pretty much all your siblings are affected.
Actually, I'm one of 9, but 3 of them have, or 2 of them are diagnosed, and the third one possibly.
Are your parents here?
Or
are they resting?
Actually, my mother's eating lunch.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Well, I'm Scout, and I have one brother with autism, and he's 9.
I'm Liz. I have one younger brother, age 16, and he has autism.
If you guys could give your age as well.
I'm 11.
I'm 18.
Okay, I'm Daniel Kaplan. I'm 15, and I have a twin brother who has autism.
How old are you, Daniel? Oh, okay.
You didn't know?
I'm David Kaplan. I am 18, and I am Daniel's brother, and so we share a sibling with autism.
I love her.
Okay, I'm Alex. I'm Alex Toledo, and I have 2 older twin brothers who have autism, and I am about to be 11 on the 16th.
I'm Deanna Rangham. I'm 14, and I have an older sister who's 16 who has autism.
Okay. I have a quick question. So your twin has autism.
Yes.
Now, do you notice? Have you felt like feelings about why not me or why him or anything related to that?
Well, I've always kind of wondered that, but I guess things just turned out the way they did, and we're fraternal twins, so that might also have something to do with it.
So there's 2 things. One is there's a poem here. Did you wrote the poem?
Yes, I wrote the poem.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yes, I wrote the poem.
The poem name is "My Name Is Not Autistic."
It's from my brother Matthew's point of view, in my opinion.
Can you read it for us?
Okay, I don't think so. My Name Is Not Autistic by Alexandria Copes. My name is not autistic. My name is Matthew. I just happen to be autistic. You call my name. I don't respond. I can't hear what you are saying. It's all a buzz. You yell at me. You call my name. I don't look at you. The light hurts my eyes. It's all too bright. You say, don't be rude. You try to hug me. I pull away. Your touch is too heavy. It hurts me. You say, aw, come here. You try to make me eat. I don't. The texture bothers me. The taste makes me gag. I know. They're all healthy for me. You say I'm picky. You try to make me talk. I grind my teeth. The more I say, the harder I grind. You say, I wish you would stop grinding your teeth. You make me happy. I flap my hands. The more I flap, the more you get upset. People say, what's wrong with him? You say, I wish I knew. The doctor says he's autistic. You take me to school. I get nervous. I start to gag. I start my tics. The teachers, the nurses, they all come running. They say, "What's wrong?" And almost always someone says, "He's always like that. He's autistic." But his name is not autistic. His name is Matthew. He just happens to be autistic.
That is brilliant, Alex. Yeah. That's great insight to how your brother feels.
That's how I thought you might feel.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. Did I do
She's
something
killing me. Unbelievable. Very good. And
wrong?
how did you come about getting that feeling that this is what's going on in him?
Well, I noticed that's what happens a lot. Like when I saw my brother Matthew, and I kept on calling his name because he took my book, but he for some reason he wasn't listening. And my mom and my dad, they explained that to me and why he was like that. And now I understand. And the poem's basically like about how Matthew kind of reacts, you know, when I noticed how Matthew reacts, and the people around him react to what he's, the way, because he's autistic and the way he acts.
Well, that's incredible observations and just wonderful. What's been, just to ask you one last question, what's been the hardest thing for you in having a sibling that has autism?
Well, it's not perfect, but it's not really bad. I mean, my other friends, they all say I'm lucky because their older brothers, they taunt them and they tease them and they put spiders and snakes in their beds. And Thomas, he gives me piggyback rides, and Matthew, he's really nice at the restaurant and he pulls out my chair for me. So I'm lucky.
God. Well, we're done, folks. We can all go home. Wow, fabulous. I guess just to ask one question across the board, and we'll see what happens from there, but what has been the hardest and maybe the most wonderful thing about having a sibling with autism? You can pick one or the other or both. Whatever you want to do is okay.
I think probably I found with my siblings that, with my brothers, is when they go to school, it's trying to get them the educational help they need to be able to go and to progress in school. And it's been very frustrating for my mother. I can see that, of her trying to get services provided that they need to so they can excel in school, because both of my brothers they are very smart, but they have a hard time communicating and talking, and they don't learn the way other people do, so they're not getting the education that they should receive, but they can do it. But nobody sits there and stops and looks at that. And then the kids, when they go to school, sit there and call them stupid, but they're not stupid. You're smart and they can do it. It's just finding what will work for them and getting what the help that they need. So
That's great.
Oh, wow. The hardest thing, I would have to say having friends over, because my brother is not potty trained. And sometimes he'll run around my house naked or with a diaper on, and it's so embarrassing to have to explain. Yeah, he's not potty trained. And yeah, that would probably be the hardest thing for me.
Hey, Scout, one more question. How do your friends respond after you explain it to them? Are they pretty understanding?
Yeah, most of them are. They're actually really cool about it, and they like to learn a lot about having a brother with autism. Yeah.
Now you said most are. Are there some that aren't?
Yes, there definitely are. There are some, I'll meet a person and then I take them over to my house and I'll be like, your brother's kind of weird. And it's like, okay. Yeah.
So has it hurt some of your relationships? Do you have you lost friends because you know that they're not the type that really is going to be understanding?
Oh yeah, there's definitely people out there who have said they're nice, but they don't. We get in lots of fights because they don't want to understand, or they they think he's really weird. Yeah.
And how's that make you feel when you hear that?
It hurts a lot because he's my brother and I really love him. And when they say, oh yeah, he's really weird, it really hurts my feelings.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you have lots of friends that are supportive and good.
I would say the hardest part is watching my brother go through school in the same way. He's been following me through school because I went to the same middle school as he's going through now. And now he's going to the same high school as I did. And I know a lot of the kids that are still at my high school. And so I expect them to know about my brother and treat him fairly. But there are a lot of kids who don't, a lot of kids who bully him, and some who just talk about him behind his back.
Well, it can definitely be hard living with someone who's autistic for anyone, but there's lots of rewards to it, and I think one of the things that I've gotten from having a brother who's autistic is that I have a greater understanding of people who have disabilities and how to react to them. And it's really great seeing my brother learn new things, and it's really rewarding.
That's great. You get addicted to seeing the gains, the little things. It really makes you appreciate little things when they're so hard to achieve.
I think it's probably not one of the hardest things, but it gets to the point where it gets so tough on you, is where every time you have to explain that to one of your friends or one of your peers that, okay, my brother has autism, and then they're going to ask you, what is autism? And you have to explain it over and over and over again. And sometimes I feel that I get so sick of explaining it that I kind of water it down a little bit, and I think that's a fault on my part, and that I should be explaining so people do know and can accept him. But I feel that it's almost to the point where I want them to just know what autism is and be able to accept him as he is and not have to, question and ask so many things. And that's definitely not the hardest thing, but it is one of the things that I think is kind of tough.
So it's almost like you feel like you have to struggle to get people to accept just him being him. It's almost like you have to sell him every time to each friend.
Exactly. And it's like, he's my brother, that's it. His name's Nathan. Like, he has autism, but he's, and then you just got to go into detail, and it's like, he's just my brother.
It's almost like, I would think I would resent it a little bit after a while. After the 100th time, to have to explain to everybody you know what this is all about. Can't you just accept?
Definitely.
Okay. We were asking the hardest things or the easiest things, but she answered already, yeah, so you're up.
Okay. So one of the hard things, like what Liz said, was school, because me and my sister, we went to the same middle school, and the year before I went to her middle school, things happened. People bullied her, my sister, and I didn't like that just because she was autistic. But the people who were bullying her didn't know she was autistic, but you still shouldn't do it to someone, even if they have autism or have whatever, It's really hard because when you bully someone, just anyone who's just doesn't have autism or something, it's hard, but it's really hard when they have autism and the people who are bullying her don't know it. And that's what one of the hard things is.
It's like not only are they bullying, but they're taking advantage of someone that doesn't even know how to socially respond to bullying, let alone bullying being bad enough to begin with.
Yeah.
You're taking advantage of someone that doesn't even understand what bullying is.
Yeah.
I guess, quick question, just since a lot of this had to do with the school, and then we want to ask questions out there. What would you guys want from schools in general to make, because a lot of these had to do with school issues, what would you want schools to do a better job at taking care of your brothers and sisters?
think definitely take a harder stance on the bullying, because anymore now that I keep hearing zero tolerance for it, but I still hear about it and I still see it happening. If they're saying zero tolerance, there needs to be a zero tolerance for it. And when a kid is picked on who has, or just anybody who's picked on who has disabilities or something, that other kids should understand that that's not right, and they need to if they bully the other kid, they need to have an equal, I guess, prescribed punishment, however they handle it, to the school of, it seems sometimes they're like, oh, they don't understand, so we don't have to punish the other person as much. I'm not seeing that a lot, but that comes up sometimes. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter as much because they don't understand what's happening to them, but they will learn after a while, because they're capable. People with either autism or Asperger's are capable of learning. They will figure it out that they're doing that to me, they're picking on me, and that's not right. I also think that we're supposed to be a country where they are supposed to be able to get education and be able to have it free and be able to get their needs met. That some of the schools have not been as supportive of that, and with my elder brother, when he had the Asperger's, my mother had a fight to even get him the just one-on-one for a little while, just for helping with either the English or the reading, and the state or the school system is supposed to provide that, but they don't. They're like, oh, we need more money for sports or something, but I think also at the same time, these people can learn, they need to be taught, and their needs need to be met. So I think for school, that's what I would like to see more for the school system.
What if they had the bullies be an aid for a day?
I think that would definitely open up their eyes a whole lot more of what they have to go through just through school and everything else, of interacting and how they do it. So I think it would definitely be a thing of eye-opener.
I think it'd be better if the schools had a better education system for kids with autism or Asperger's, because these kids are smart. They can learn. They just learn in a different way. So it's like, yeah, we'll teach your kid, but are they teaching them in the right way?
And are they teaching the people around the kid the right way, you know?
That's what I think they should do. They should
Yeah.
have, before kids even start into, third grade, they should have an actual integration class between the kids with disabilities and the kids who are normal. At least get them socialized and used to the other kids so that they know that they exist. Half the kids don't even know what autism means. You walk around in pretty much any school and you say, oh, my brother has autism. He's artistic? What? I mean, most kids don't even know what it is. We need to educate the rest of our peer group to understand what it is, and we're working on that currently, but it's not enough. We need to integrate them socially and teach them.
Excellent.
Well, my brother goes to a special ed school, so he doesn't really have those issues. But if he did go to a school like I do, then I think he would be bullied, and people need to learn that that's not okay. And last year, we had an assembly on bullying, and I know that they try to get kids to know that you shouldn't bully, but ninth graders really aren't going to listen to that, and they need to be more, find bullies and teach them, and not just say don't do it, but make sure they don't do it.
How do you think we could make sure that bullies don't do it?
If more staff are looking for that type of behavior, and then also more kids can report to the adults about it too, that would help.
Very good.
I have two kind of quick things. I don't mean to sound political here, but I think it is a big issue, is No Child Left Behind Act. Even though there are no children left behind, I believe that people with disabilities are being left behind. Because, I'm not 100% positive on what that act entitles, but I do know that the government's trying to get everyone up to the same speed and the same reading level as the national standard or, the normal average kid. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous because, our kids or our siblings they're, as much as we would like them to learn as fast as everyone else, it's not going to happen. And so I think as parents or as siblings, I think we need to act upon and, try to explain to people that that's not going to happen. And number two, I think I just finished up high school this year, and at my high school we had, we had a specialized group of kids who had a various amount of disabilities, and as much as a lot of people thought that they were being accepted into like groups and into cliques, I guess you could say, there's a point there where there's like a mental bullying that's still going on that people don't catch, and it's kind of sad because you can't, your friends are kind of like goofing off and some of these kids don't understand that they're not like as good of friends with these quote normal kids as they think they should be. And so I think we need to change that with people, like I guess more aides helping out during those situations, because I noticed I never saw these kids with their teachers, or it's almost like they were just teaching them and then they would let them teaching them school skills, but then letting their street skills kind of go down the drain. So I think that needs to change.
Go ahead.
Yes?
Yeah. Oh, the question?
Okay. Well, with my brothers also, like, you can always tell when I can always tell when my brothers are being bullied at school, because they come down from the school bus and they don't wave at the school bus driver as happily as they do when they go off to school. They're kind of down and they're kind of sad, and I think that's really mean because these kids, they don't really know how to defend themselves, and in my opinion, the schools should like put like a autism thing, where all the kids at the school can learn about autism, and then maybe they'll learn and actually accept kids with autism.
Kind of like an autism class teaching
Yeah.
people about what the kids are going through.
And I noticed that also when all schools get the bullying talk, but I noticed most of the kids were just goofing around, pretending to like flicking their rubber erasers at each other, erasing pencils down the desks. So they don't really pay attention. That's why the bully talk, well, it does help a bit, but it doesn't help very much because most of the kids, they don't want to listen because they don't think it's very important. They're just like, oh, we heard this, oh no, it's the bully talk again. So they just play,
Excellent.
I think what should change about our schools is the kids with autism or Aspergers. We should, they might pick up a couple things with the teachers teaching them in like their own way, but they're not going to pick up as much as if they were taught in a way that they would understand. So I think we need to educate the teachers so they know that each kid is different and they need to be taught in a more visual way or however they need to be taught. So.
Great feedback from everybody. Excellent. So we still have time. So let's do some questions. Scott, whoever you want.
I was wondering if you think that it would be easier to be at a different school from your sibling with autism, because you've talked a lot about that you worry about them and how other kids are treating them. Do you like being there with them so that you can kind of take care of them, or do you feel like it might be better not to have to deal with that at school yourselves?
Any thoughts? It could be anybody. Anybody can answer. Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of a good bad thing because you want to know that your siblings are okay so you can protect them, from the bullies. But it's also sort of embarrassing sometimes to see your brother flapping down the hallway and all the kids are like, and all the kids are thinking, where'd he come from? Did he eat too much donuts? See, so it's kind of a good and a bad thing at the same time.
How old are you again?
I'm
20 what?
No. I'm about to be 11 on the 16th.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Any follow-up to that? Anybody else want to? Go ahead.
As she said, it's a good and a bad thing. I think for me, I love being at the same school because I know that my friends, if they're my friends, they know they have to protect my brother. That's what their job is. And if you're at a different school, you can trust other people up to a certain point, but if you're there, you have control of the situation and you have the control of the education. If you really want to take a part in it, if you want to be a big sister, a big brother, or even if you're a younger sibling, take part in it, you have to educate everyone else. And that's really what it's about.
Scott?
My question, one of them anyway, I have so many, but are any of your sibs on special diets?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that yes to everybody pretty much?
So my question is about their food restrictions and how do you eat in front of them regular food? Do you eat junk food? What's going on there with that kind of stuff?
A couple of moms
and do you
are
feel
laughing in the
guilty if you eat that kind of food in front of them, or do you hide it? All those kinds of things.
Well, my sister, see, we're not allowed to have regular milk, good milk, but so we have to have soy milk or a different type of milk, and I'm not liking it. So my sister has to be on like a special milk because she's allergic to certain types of milk, and it's not fun at all.
Well, my older brothers, they used to eat off junk food all day, soda, candy, everything, and now they don't, and I noticed that their behavior, it's improved a lot, and we also have to be careful with my brother Thomas because he loves to eat, but it's because of his medicine, because it calms him down, but it also has a side effect that makes him want to eat a lot, so we have to be careful about donuts. We have to be careful about all sugar things like popsicles and stuff because and it's not really that great to eat a popsicle in front of Thomas because he'll ask for one, so don't do that.
Anybody else?
I think it's kind of tough because my brother, he's not on a certain diet, but there's a couple things he can eat, and I do feel kind of bad because I'll eat some stuff in front of him sometimes, and he'll ask for it, and I can't really give it to him, or sometimes I guess I'll sneak a little something to him, but
You do remember your mom's in the front row, right?
But I do my best, and truthfully, I mean, I know this sounds kind of goofy, but I like some of that healthy stuff. Some of it tastes good if you can.
Yeah.
Some of it's just too much.
So.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I have a brother who isn't necessarily on a restricted diet, but he has like a certain craving for wheat, and it's anything from like bread, spaghetti, any pasta or rice, and that's all he will eat sometimes is that, and he will constantly keep going until you tell him to stop, and even then that doesn't work. But for a restricted diet, it's not so hard for some of us in the family if we did have to do a restricted diet, because for a while, two of my brothers, when they were younger, they couldn't have any cow milk at all. So we worked around that, but at the same time, also some of the rest of my family also has dietary restrictions, so it's not necessarily one of the things that would be, I think, really hard to adjust to if need be. Because, example, none of us can have any soda or carbonated drinks. We can't digested it all or whatever, or just can't have it because of intestinal problems for some siblings. But it's not that hard taking it out, really. And if it's not there, or if they haven't had it, they're not really going to miss it too much. So.
It's like the Noah's Ark of dietary issues with a family of 9, isn't it?
It can be sometimes, or when people are picky, it definitely gets interesting about what they'll eat.
Okay.
Well, my brother isn't on a diet, but he certainly loves fruit, and we have to like lock and hide, and like we are on 24/7 duty of that fruit. Like we always sometimes we have to hide it in a new place every week, and it's kind of weird, but he's actually kind of good because he eats fruit and he doesn't really like sugar, so he's odd in that way.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, how many people out here have ADHD, bipolar kids? Okay, so I know that you guys have a huge
about 10.
carb thing going on, right? Okay. So I babysit for a couple of kids that are ADHD, bipolar, and their house is filled with all kinds of nasty food. I mean, it's so bad. But what you try to do is they have, once a week is pizza night. So that's the one time a week when the kids can have their carbs, that kind of thing. So what the family, I've noticed, has done is they have specific nights for certain meals, and the kids are pretty happy with it but they're always the happiest for pizza night. So it's if you
Can
split
you
it
choose
up.
not to babysit on pizza night? Because
Oh,
that'll
that's the night
probably
I
be a little
babysit on.
challenging.
That's the night I babysit on.
So the parents are doing the right thing. Okay, let them have the pizza, bring the babysitter in, we're going to a movie. Nice. Okay. So what we're going to do, I think we still have time, but we'll sort of ask one question to one person and just kind of speed up the number of questions, I guess.
All right, we have a question from one of our webcast viewers, and the question is, how should schools deal with the issues of confidentiality?
How should they? It's tough for this panel, but go ahead, let's see what happens. With confidentiality.
Okay, that is a really tough question, and I think there's a point where if you hide someone for so long, and then they get out of high school or they get out of middle school or go into college, they're not going to be able to socialize. They're not going to be able to know what it was like to have friends or just kind of things like that. So I think there's a point where maybe confidentiality is okay in terms of if you don't want to let everybody in the world know that your sibling or someone in the school has autism, but I think that maybe is also a parent's choice because every person is different and everyone has a different sort of disability. It's the autism spectrum disorder. It's a whole spectrum of. So I think it's definitely. It's the parents' choice on that one. I don't think schools should have a choice in that, but.
Stan, I actually got a question here, Stan.
Yeah, please. I was hoping you would, Scott.
From the dad side of me.
Scott is also a father of a child, and he is a physician's assistant.
I know you guys probably heard. This is mainly for you guys up there who have siblings who are older than you. I know you probably heard autism bounced around from a really young age. At what age do you guys think that you wanted to really learn more about what's going on with your sibling?
I think that even though kids sometimes can be very, very mean, sometimes they can also be very understanding of how somebody is different. So I think that of learning about a disability or something, I think the earlier that you can teach it and teach a person to be understanding about it, they're going to be more understanding and more knowledgeable about either their sibling's condition or they have a friend who has a sibling who has it. I think they're going to be more understanding and be like, oh, I'm not going to make fun of that person, or I understand this, and they can help inform somebody else of what's going on. So I think it's probably one of the things just my personal feeling, I think that the younger they are and if they can understand it, and I mean, just telling that somebody, oh, you know, that this person's this way, they may not understand completely why yet, but they're starting to understand and starting to accept that there is a difference, it's okay, and it's not something bad. So.
I wanted to ask a question because this is my grandson and he has Asperger's autism. He is being homeschooled because of the bullying issue. I'm very proud of him though, because even though he was being bullied, he didn't ever let it bother him. Okay. But now he's at home and he has a brother, and his brother's younger, and his brother is too cool to want to know about autism, and we don't want to blame autism or his oddities, because he has to take responsibilities for his action, because there's something wrong with all of us, just autism kids got caught, right? So with that thought in mind, how would you help me as his grandparent to help his sibling be able to appreciate that although he's different, he has good things to offer him as well?
Can I ask how old his younger brother is?
He is 9, and his nickname is Mr. Cool.
I was just going to say right quick, my younger brother, who's the fraternal twin, he is 12, and he has an elder brother that's also 14. His twin sometimes, when the elder brother is around, doesn't really want to have anything to do with him, because the other brother is 14, and I think it's one of those things, he's starting those teenage stages. I know everything and I don't have to do what other people tell me. I'll just do what I want to do. And that's very hard to work around sometimes. But also, I've noticed that when the 14-year-old isn't around, his twin brother will socialize, will play with him and everything else. And that's one of those things, I think it's going to take time. I mean, it's one of those things of maybe having your son maybe get into something of that he has an interest or something, that sometimes seems to help. Because I have my brother who's 12 who has Asperger. He loves cars. He's obsessive about cars. He's like a walking encyclopedia almost on it. And there you can find somebody that, you know, will sit there and also loves baseball and doesn't have Asperger's or autism, and they will be like, oh, this person's cool, you know, they know something about this or whatever else. But I think with the younger brother, it's one of those things, you know, if he has friends, he's still going to show his younger brother, you know, people are still going to be willing to be his friend, and people are still going to socialize with him. Just because you do have Asperger's doesn't mean you're not cool or something. I mean, you're still gonna, you know, you're still gonna find friends that will sit there and think it's really nifty or something, that going back to no cars, or with my elder brother, knew facts about baseball. So I mean, you will find something, and sometimes it's just gonna take time, because kids, even though they can start understanding, they're sometimes also some of the meanest people on the face of the planet, which is unfortunate, but it's just going to take time, I think, and you will come to understand. I mean, because I'm just talking a lot, but I can speak as from a younger sibling's point of view. It took me a little while to be understanding about it, because my brother had Asperger's, and when I was right behind him, I also got picked on it, because everybody thought I would be like him, and I didn't want to associate with him at all. It took a while before I was understanding of it. So I think it's just something, it's going to be time.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. We're almost out of time, so we're just going to ask one question straight across the board. If I can, what do you feel most grateful for about this journey that you've been on with your siblings? What do you appreciate the most? What are you most grateful for? What do you think has been the biggest gift out of all of this? We can start on the other side.
I was just going to say, I seem to...
Go ahead. That's all right.
Come back to me.
You can pass. It's okay. All right.
Can you please repeat the question? I forgot.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
The question is, what do you feel is the biggest gift of all this? What do you appreciate the most? You know, certainly there's a lot of challenges associated to this. to having a child or a sibling with autism. What has been, if you can think of one, what has been the biggest maybe gift or something you appreciate the most about your sibling?
Well, I know Thomas and Matthew can't express it the way most people do, but I know they love me because, like, Thomas, he even went to the trouble on Valentine's Day of trying to get all his candy hearts together and trying to glue them, but it kind of made a big mess, so.
That's great.
I think, like, they always say siblings fight a lot, and yeah, I'll have an occasional fight with my brother Daniel, but I think I've learned to, love my siblings more and definitely be more accepting of people with disabilities, and I also think that I've learned so much from just having a brother with autism. I mean, I may not be straight A 4.0 student, but I just know so much more than my friends for like hyperbaric oxygen treatment. They're like,
Okay. We teach Nathan a lot of stuff, but he also returns so much. And it's just every day we learn something new from him, and just about autistic people or people with disabilities or just family. And I think we've grown closer because of Nathan. And it's really great having him.
Go ahead, that's okay.
There's so many things to be grateful for in just having a brother with autism, because everything that they've said is completely true, but I think the little things are what really matters. Every day, coming home, and he might have had a bad day, but he'll get right back on it. He'll just come right out of it. And it's just great to be able to see him grow in a different way, and knowing that I'm helping and that I'm educating people in some way or another. Just knowing that I'm helping the world in some way due to him is a great feeling.
These people are making me cry. Okay.
Don't worry, you're not alone.
I guess I've had a lot more confidence with a brother with autism. When he screams really loudly in the store, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's Austin. That's my brother. But yeah, he gives back, and he's so sweet, and he teaches me so much every day. Yeah.
Well, with my siblings, it's taught me to be prepared for anything. So I think it's kind of lent me of life throws a curveball, I can deal with it and have the confidence of being able to do it. So I think it's given me the perspective of being able to be more understanding and drawing upon reservoirs of patience I never knew I had, and having it there. So, and still learning how to be patient about other things. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Excellent. How you doing? I'm coming back to you.
Yeah. I think just having an older sister with a disability is pretty cool, because if you just had a sibling who's normal, it wouldn't be a journey. You wouldn't have the same problems, and you wouldn't have the same rewards. So I think just having an older sibling with a disability is pretty cool.
Scott back there? Or my,
Stan, we got a couple more minutes, so
okay.
Let's run through just one more question, if we get each of you to answer it. Me and Dr. Kaplan were talking about, why don't you guys just say the most exciting and most fun thing you've ever done with your sibling that really just stands out in your mind?
Got to think about this one.
Well, you can pass. She passed
I think
too.
I'll
so.
pass.
Okay.
Because I got to think on that one.
The Sibling Autism Game Show. We can get you a lifeline if you need it. Anybody's cell phone? Anybody?
Wow. I don't actually spend much time with my brother because he's always doing something, even if it's going to the grocery store or practicing something. But I guess seeing him on the roof one day, That was pretty life-changing. And then on top of that, he was in his diaper, just naked.
If you're going to do it.
Let's see. Well, my family and I travel a lot, and it's a great thing. It's a great experience for my brother, and especially for me, because not only are we taking an autistic child around the world, I get to learn so much from him and his experiences just seeing all these different people. And I can remember one of my favorite times was we were huddled up in the back of an RV, and there were 8 people in this tiny little RV, and everybody was just sitting around, and we were waiting in the RV for nothing. And I remember he just cuddled up to me and said, "You know, I love you."
Okay, Nathan and I, we have a lot of things that we do together. Like, I always read Harry Potter books to him, that's one thing. And he starts recognizing words, and that's really cool. Like, if I read glasses, he'll start pointing to my glasses and things like that. And then we play video games. I used to play video games with him. And then after years and years, he learned how to do it too. And now we can play together, and that's really fun.
My brother, he really likes sports a lot. And so whenever we're like watching a sports game, or like he'll any sport he'll watch, and it's just like exciting. And I think like probably one of my most memorable moments was, it was actually about a month ago, and he can like ride a bike, but he can't ride on 2 wheels. He has to have like a tricycle. And so I was like determined to help him out and get him on like a bike so he could go riding with us. And so we spent a couple hours outside like riding, just trying to teach him how to ride on a bike. And it's gonna take a while, but it was fun. I got to spend time with my brother, and it was definitely worthwhile.
Well, my brother Thomas, first of all, my brother Matthew, he's not very social, but he's not very social, but he does like me. And my brother Thomas, though, he really loves to talk to everybody. And I think my two most favorite moments with my brother Thomas was the time that we were selling socks in Houston. We were doing the Autism Fair thing, and we had our booth set up, and Thomas immediately jumped out to a person that passed by our booth, and he nearly scared him. The person jumped in the air like a foot, and Thomas immediately went into his salesman mode. "Hi, do you want to buy a sock?"
Well, one of my favorite moments with my sister is when we're playing. We have this like 2 dance pads. It's called Dance Dance Revolution. You guys might have heard of it. So we just got a second pad, so now we compete against each other. And she always wins. I mean, she's got like AA as her score. I get just an A or B, but it's pretty fun because just to see her have fun and just to see her just be herself is pretty cool.
All right, right before we wrap up.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, all of you, a question. Raise your hands. Do any of you know Dan Coulter or Dan Coulter videos? Has anybody heard of them? Okay, one person. I would Google Dan, Coulter, videos. Get the videos. If you have any situations in any of your schools where the kids go to, here's a child with Asperger's, had a very, very difficult problem with nobody socializing with his son. They had shown the first video that he produced at one of the high schools in the auditorium, and the day after, he probably had about maybe 15, 20, 25 people all sitting with him having lunch with his son. They are very, very powerful videos. It helps educate the school system. We were talking about, the kids were talking about bullying. Please go to that website, and I think it'll be very, very helpful. I want to thank Stan and Stan.
Well, I'd like to thank Scott as well.
And Scott, yes.
Yeah, and to my panel, oh my, our panel, you guys. Not only are you amazing siblings, but you are just amazing people. Amazing people. Very proud of you guys. And that's it. We'll wrap it up. Thank you so much.